spent plenty of time in Skyfox. What's your take on this, Rick?
Well, it's erratic driving. You could see very high speeds here, Marla. Dangerous driving here through the intersections. You just saw that as that LA County helicopter passed over. So they are tracking this from the air and on the ground. And this area of Alhambra, the lead law enforcement agency is the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. But do we know, Marla, yet where this pursuit actually began?
Well, there are reports that this was first reported out of Carson. We have not confirmed that. Tight turn here. And we're seeing from overhead the sunroof look like I don't know if there was a passenger in there or not. It's hard to get a good look at this, but that's one of the unknowns, right? How many people are involved, if these people are armed. So to answer your question, Rick, as we zoom in, it looks like just the driver there, perhaps shirtless even. Shirtless, in fact.
Yes, I can see that.
It may have originated in Carson.
And that area, too, as well. That's the 10 freeway there in Alhambra. And that area, the lead agency is the LA County Sheriff's Department. They are the law enforcement agents there. So this is an LA County Sheriff's Department pursuit, but likely the CHP has picked up on it. And again, with any pursuit, whatever jurisdiction it enters, those agencies will join in. And this is a really dangerous situation. Look at the speeds of this vehicle here. Sort of an older sports sedan, it appears there, and you saw that there is a sunroof here, and unclear what these law enforcement individuals are dealing with, and that's one of the factors, Marla, that they always take into consideration. Is this individual armed? Does he or she have, and it appears it was a male suspect in there, multiple wants, and you could see the suspect is essentially making circles in this neighborhood. We mention it, I'll mention it again. Possibly he has some ties to this Alhambra neighborhood where he knows the ins and outs of the streets, the back alleys, so he can evade police easier. And they run because they can, because they're not in custody. And there is always that chance that they can get away. And this individual is doing whatever he can to get away at this point. High speeds, reckless driving, crossing over into oncoming traffic there on that one major thoroughfare near the 10 freeway in Alhambra.
And speeds up to beyond 60 miles per hour we saw on these surface streets. Glendon Way and Garfield Avenue, another intersection there, going through, cruising on by an unsuspected driver. CHP, yes, you're right, was requested to take over this pursuit, Rick, from LASD. Reports that this started in Carson, now in Alhambra, and it is worth noting, as you just did, that a lot of times they stay in areas that they are familiar with, which makes sense.
That's right, and the CHP picked it up likely because coming from the Carson area, that's a lot of real estate that this pursuit covered, likely up either the 110, the Harbor Freeway, or the 710. And whenever these pursuits enter those freeways, that's when the CHP, the California Highway Patrol, takes over. Again, a stolen vehicle suspect being pursued here back over the 10, going north and south on these surface streets, Marla, in the Alhambra area on the far west end of the San Gabriel Valley. Alhambra just off the 10 freeway. El Monte is to the east, downtown LA, and Boyle Heights to the west of this location, if you're not familiar. And what we are seeing is, as he continues to make some very close calls, is a lot more vehicular traffic, a lot more pedestrian traffic. Now that even the homeschooling is through, there's more kids out on the sidewalks now, and more people heading back to work, and as more and more of California opens up, and that just creates more dangers.
Yeah, so now made his way into Monterey Park from Alhambra. We saw speeds close to 80 miles per hour. We have our extreme nav technology up that tells us how fast that these suspects are going, and also a precise location, as you can see here right now, Hellman Avenue and Stevens Avenue. Now it says technically Rosemead. Oh, crossing the double yellow line going the wrong direction.
Look at that.
Right.
And so close and so dangerous there. And what the CHP wants to do, what the LA County Sheriff's Department wants to do, and I did see that LA County Sheriff's helicopter tracking him overhead as well. And we believe that there's just the one suspect, the stolen vehicle suspect in that vehicle. Is they want to bring this to a safe conclusion without injuring any innocent bystanders. There are times, and it just depends upon the agency, they may back off and track from the air. And with all that has been going on with law enforcement, there have been some changes we've noticed from Skyfox shots like this with our Extreme Nav. You can follow along where this pursuit is going in Monterey Park, as we saw that LA County helicopter pass by there, that they may just go to a tracking mode because they think it's so dangerous because of the reckless nature of this stolen vehicle suspect.
Yeah, so Rosemead, the current location, when we picked it up, he was in Alhambra, then Monterey Park. Speeds right now beyond 80 miles per hour. We saw it hit 90 miles per hour on the surface streets. This is Del Mar Avenue in Rosemead, and you see all these other drivers, and they don't realize what's coming up behind them, and that's what makes us even more precarious as this stolen vehicle, this Lexus, again, crossing over those double yellow lines, and doing his best to elude officers. CHP now taking this over from LASD. Now it's saying San Gabriel.
Yeah, and this is a situation where you can see he is staying in the same general area, and he's staying off the 10 freeway. That's an option for this suspect. He has not gotten back on the 10 freeway. And even though I did mention that there is more and more vehicles on the roadways as we open up California, there still is some traffic volume out there, but it's nothing like it was pre-COVID time. So the 10 is open, I'm seeing.
Yeah, you just saw that.
And it does look like just the one suspect. And it does look like just the one suspect. Is that what you're seeing, Marla, the driver, a male driver in that vehicle?
Yes, when we've gotten a tighter shot inside through the sunroof there, yes, it looks like just one man
so close.
Without a shirt on, by the way, and now we're in Montebello, technically here. Extreme Nav picking up that precise location, Paramount Boulevard and Marketplace Drive in Montebello, coming up on this intersection that's busy, obviously choosing to turn
Speeds
right because
over 80 miles an hour.
Oh,
wow.
yeah, no, we saw speeds in the 90s thus far at one point, in fact. So here we are now. This is Marketplace Drive and Neil Armstrong. Really, I think they just decided to make this right turn because there was a red light that they were faced with. So as long as they just keep that foot on the gas, they keep on going.
And I haven't seen any units tracking him on the ground. I know we've been relatively tight for the last minute or two, but I do know that that helicopter has been tracking him. We continue to see that LA County Sheriff's helicopter get into our shot with Skyfox. They're following much lower, perhaps only 400 or 500 feet AGL above ground level, and we're up at about 1,000 or 1,500 feet tracking this. But bottom line, this is a very dangerous situation. It is a reckless driver. He's trying to evade police, a stolen vehicle suspect, starting in Carson, if you're just tuning in, and he made his way up into the San Gabriel Valley. Well, there you go. There is a CHP unit right behind him, so that's the first time that he did stop there as well, Marla. But there may be opportunities here if
going
the speeds
into Rick,
drop below 35.
I think you have a bit of a delay. He's now into a parking lot.
Into
looks
the
like
parking lot.
Right, okay.
Yep.
And so at one point it looked like he was going to get pitted there. And officers tight on his tail.
And that's what they're going to try to do, because if he reduces his speed under about 30, 35 miles an hour, that is the speed that officers use as a threshold to conduct that pit maneuver, the pursuit intervention technique, where they just nudge him from behind. And it looks like right here, he may try right here. Nope. Looks like he's going to make a right turn here. He's slowing down, though. And now he's got some traffic ahead of him. And it looks like somebody's trying. No, he's just being boxed in because of other vehicles there, and he's doing whatever he can do to evade them. And across the line there, and you could see the couple of CHP units. Now the lead agency on this, possibly going to get that opportunity, just nudge him in the back, on the back left or the back right, to spin him out and to end this safely. So far, we haven't seen any.
Oh, you can see his hand out of the sunroof as we zoom in. Yes, tight on this. And as you say, this seems to be some sort of a shopping mall parking lot. It's busier there, which makes it even more dangerous given all the innocent bystanders in their cars and also on foot as well. And Rick, you say it really can be a pit maneuver when it does decrease to those speeds of 25 miles per hour.
And they train for these, Marlon. I've watched for years up in Skyfox. There's a training facility just off the 5 freeway near the LA Reservoir in the north end of the San Fernando Valley, close to Sylmar, where there's a large facility where you can watch for hours on end, where these officers from different agencies trained for those pit maneuvers in all different conditions. They wet down the asphalt. They make it so that it's like a parking lot. They'll put other vehicles in there so that these officers can get an idea of how they're going to conduct it and do it in a way, conduct it in a way that they don't endanger anybody else. And all those factors are going through the heads of these officers as we see him really pick up speed yet again, trying to evade officers here. The stolen car suspect that started in Carson, we're hearing, with the LA County Sheriff's Department, and now it does look like he has decided to hop back on that highway there. He's on the 10 freeway.
No, this is actually the 60 freeway, the westbound 60 freeway.
Okay.
In Montebello. That's Extreme Nav here telling us the location. And now speeds reaching close to 80 miles per hour. And this is a stolen vehicle suspect pursuit. CHP is now the lead agency, picked it up from LASD. We've seen this pursuit go from Alhambra to Monterey Park, back to Monterey Park now, just left the Montebello area. And it was a pretty dangerous situation inside of a shopping mall parking lot where it seemed that CHP officers were going to try a pit maneuver on this suspect, but that didn't work out. And here we are now on the westbound 60. Bound 60. In Monterey Park.
And coming through the south end of the San Gabriel Valley, and that means he'd be heading towards East Los Angeles, the East LA interchange, and then into downtown LA where the 60 merges with the 10 and the 5 freeways. The speed's a little bit lower right now than what we saw on surface streets, as you mentioned, Marla, 80, 90 miles an hour on some of those surface streets through Montebello, Alhambra, and sort of doing a circle through that area, possibly because that suspect is familiar with that portion of Southern California. He did have opportunities to hop on the 10 freeway. He made his way south and got on the 60 freeway west. He's staying in the far right lane, and it looks like he may be exiting the freeway again here. So let's see where the suspect is going off the freeway, off the 60 freeway westbound here. So he's choosing not to stay on the freeway here. And again, that creates, anytime we see a pursuit like this, it's dangerous, whether it's on the freeway or surface streets. On surface streets, so you're going to have a lot more in the way, obviously, of pedestrian traffic. There's vehicular traffic at stoplights and street lights there. So each situation poses a threat here. And at times he rips through intersections. Other times he slows down and is more cautious, very erratic. And the CHP, the lead agency right now, the California Highway Patrol, needs to do whatever they can to bring this to an end, because every second, every minute this pursuit continues, Marla, there's a danger to the public.
Oh, most certainly. So now we're on Via Campo in Montebello. He just took the Sierra Grande exit from the westbound 60, went underneath the 60, and now here he is, the Via Campo right here. And it looks like he's going to make a right turn coming up to another intersection. Nope, he's just going to blow through that one, in fact. And back on the 60, in fact, Rick.
Yeah, he's getting back on again. He's just trying to get away, obviously. And everybody asks, well, what's going through the heads of these suspects? And we don't know. They get interviewed afterwards, and there may be a lot going on here with this suspect, and we just don't know. And there may be more than just a stolen vehicle. And what happens is, and we don't know how this all was initiated, but perhaps there was already some erratic driving by the suspect, erratic behavior. So the LA County Sheriff's Department, they initially were handling this. They looked up the license plate. The vehicle came back stolen. They lit that vehicle up, that suspect up. He didn't yield, and then the pursuit was on, and that pursuit likely hopped on to either the 710 or the 110 freeways down there from the South Bay area in Carson and made its way north up into the south end of the San Gabriel Valley here, where it's been now for the last 15 or 20 minutes. Back on the 60 freeway here, and weaving in and out of traffic. You could see a lot more in the way of volume than there was a few months ago, and that poses a danger. They're tracking this from the air and on the ground. A high-speed pursuit with our Extreme Nav system in Skyfox. We continue to track this.
Being pursued is this stolen vehicle, said to be a Lexus four-door, a sedan there. CHP now, the lead agency picked up from the LASD 60 eastbound, just past Paramount Boulevard in Montebello. When we picked it up, this pursuit suspect was in the city of Alhambra, made his way through Monterey Park and San Gabriel, and now here we are back on the 60, hopped on and off surface streets, even going through a crowded parking lot at one point where we thought it might come to an end, but no such luck there. So now this pursuit carries on the 60 eastbound in Montebello.
And the next freeway there, now that he is heading in the opposite direction when he was on the westbound and he's heading eastbound now, would be the 605 freeway. If he chooses to hop on a different freeway, he would make that transition to the 60 freeway either north or south. That's in the South El Monte area. And speeds there pretty much keeping to the speed limit for the most part. Then he picks it up a little bit, but definitely not as fast as we saw on some of the surface streets. And you can see that CHP cruiser trailing him right behind him, tracking this from the air and on the ground. We'll see where this suspect chooses to go as he continues on the 60 freeway, where volume is moderate. We're not seeing any stop and go traffic, that's for sure, but there are quite a bit of vehicles there, and the CHP is going to do whatever they can to try and bring this to an end. With situations like this as well, Marla, we're not sure, but there is a possibility that that suspect is communicating with somebody on a cell phone, perhaps a friend or family member. There's times where we found out that those people are actually trying to help that individual get away, and a lot of times, though, we also hear that families and friends try to get them to pull over safely to end this, to just give themselves up so they're not harmed or anybody else is harmed. And you could see slower speeds here, and it looks like perhaps exiting the freeway yet again.
Yeah, Rosemead Boulevard.
We're making a transition.
Oh, right. Let's see what happens here. Whittier narrows up to the intersection.
Okay, so that's Rosemead Boulevard.
Stopped. Okay.
Before the 605, and he slows down there. And this is the Whittier Narrows recreation area is on the south side of the 60 freeway. That's Leg Lake there. That's the area. And that's just to the west of the 605, south of the 60, south of South El Monte. And you can see now picking up speeds yet again. He's just doing whatever he can to evade police, and he's really ramping up this pursuit. Again, a stolen vehicle suspect. It appears there's just one suspect inside that vehicle, a male in the driver's seat there. And this has been going on for some time, having started in Carson. And there we go. We're looking at speeds over 80 miles an hour again.
Yeah, it's interesting. On the freeway, when there's more of an open road and more opportunity to go faster, the suspect doesn't drive all that fast. And here we are on surface streets, and we've seen up to 90 miles per hour plus. And on the shoulder now, this is interesting. Obviously backed up at must be an intersection. It's hard to see. Driving on the shoulder, making his way past this traffic. Go ahead, Rick.
Wow, yeah. And Rosemead is a major north-south thoroughfare there that takes you from the San Gabriel Valley south all the way into Lakewood and points south of that location. But a lot of traffic there, as you just mentioned, Marla. But then look at that. Just starts ripping down the road again. It looks like he does have a face covering on, right? That's what I'm seeing when we got a little close-up there, the suspect here. And he's manipulating the car and the traffic pretty well, and we have yet to see any nicks of any other vehicles, which is fortunate. But with every second, every minute, the chances increase for that to occur, and the CHP is aware of that. Other law enforcement agencies are involved as well. Once you enter another city, those units can start getting involved as well. Slowing down at this intersection, fortunately, you can see crossing over that crosswalk there and trying to manipulate his way around traffic there against red lights at times, but doing so gingerly.
Yeah, so here we are, Rosemead Boulevard, Rick, and El Monte. We are hearing that CHP may be backing off and going into tracking mode. We just did see a cruiser, though, on his tail just through that last intersection. So we'll see if they, in fact, do back off and only track this from the air. And you're seeing, not necessarily, that wouldn't be a big surprise given how fast the suspect is going on these surface streets.
Exactly. And it's so dangerous when they see this. And again, every agency is different. And even though we've been watching how the California Highway Patrol has been continuing to track this aggressively, trying to bring it to an end despite the erratic, dangerous driving of the stolen vehicle suspect, essentially what they can do at any time is just say, hey, this is too much. He's continuing. We don't want to endanger anybody else. We got our helicopters up there, an LA County Sheriff's Department airship. We can track this individual to wherever he ends up landing. and apprehend him at that point. And we see that quite a bit at this point. Though we are still seeing some units.
Don't mean to interrupt, but you're just seeing him almost look back to see if the officer's still there. And at last check, we did see the CHP cruiser still right behind him. So there are reports that these officers are going to be backing off and going into tracking mode and distract from the sky, as Rick was mentioning. But we're not sure if that's actually happening yet. Go ahead.
And he's making his way north again on Rosemead, actually, because he just went under the 10 freeway there, passing Marshall Street and then up towards Ralph Street. But now it looks like he's pulled off to the right and slowing down. And he's back into an area. He was here just about 15 minutes ago, the same general vicinity. So this could be a situation where he's trying to connect with or get into an area that he's familiar with. He may have friends or family in that area. But now he's just making his way in and out of this Rosemead neighborhood here, north of the 10 freeway, off of Rosemead Boulevard. Again, this pursuit, having started in Carson, has likely covered quite a bit of real estate on the 110 and the 710 freeways, on the 10 at times, the 60 freeway, Rosemead Boulevard, and now essentially through this Rosemead neighborhood here.
Ooh, that was a close call with a pedestrian.
That was close, yes.
Just trying to cross the street there. Yes, narrowly missed him. Here we are going over those double lines. It makes me hold my breath. You never know what's going to happen. So here we are, Mission Drive.
Oh, yeah, it's too... It is. This is really getting out as a lot of these pursuits do. This driver is erratic. He's dangerous. Even though he may not be armed, but they have to assume he is armed. Any individual who chooses to run from the police is a dangerous suspect and is endangering the public. He's not pulling over, and you can see right up against that vehicle there, crossing over. This is a narrow. One way each side street here in Rosemead, and he's getting more aggressive, more dangerous. And if we widen out just a little bit, we'll see if they have backed off, as you mentioned, Marla, because this is a situation where they just might do that because of the way this man's driving.
All right, now officially in territory of Temple City, Encinita Avenue, and last cross street is La Rosa Drive in Temple City. Speeds on these surface streets, you just saw them go through a school zone. I know that school's not in session, but nonetheless, those tight, narrow streets, residential streets, and making a right-hand turn on Pentland Street at this point. Speeds now in the 50s. Rick, we've seen him hit up to nearing 100 miles per hour.
Yeah, it's and he's staying in this area, Temple City. If you know this area, essentially sandwiched between the 210 on the south and the 10 on the north of the San Gabriel Valley. Temple City, Rosemead, El Monte. This is the area that he's sort of gravitated to and has come back to.
Yeah, so if you're just joining our coverage, this pursuit was picked up just over 30 minutes ago, first by LASD, then taken over by CHP. The want here is a stolen vehicle. This is a four-door Lexus sedan, reportedly stolen out of Carson. We're working to confirm that. Now the pursuit suspect has made his way through into Temple City, Cloverly Avenue. Our Extreme Nav helping out our coverage this afternoon, being able to identify his speeds and also precise locations.
But doing loops. I mean, you're seeing him doing a lot of left and right turns, right? Marla's staying in the same general area. And again, he may not know this area at all. Or he may, and that's why he's staying in this area. And we are seeing him slow down at times, and it looks like gesturing outside his window, waving his hands up, as you mentioned, through the sunroof and through his driver's side window there. At times, barely slowing down through intersections. Other times, he'll stop like he is now. And waiting for that traffic and trying to cross that area very gingerly, and he made it across that intersection from Lower Azusa Road, which is a very busy stretch of roadway there on Cloverly Avenue here. Lefts, rights, staying in this neighborhood. Again, a stolen vehicle suspect, another pedestrian there on the street. Close calls, and what I still haven't seen, and I know we're relatively tight, is I haven't seen in the last couple of minutes a CHP cruiser, which took over as the lead agency on this, following tightly. That was a tight right turn there. And you could see in the Temple City area, just ripping down these surface streets, residential, mixed industrial, with more people that we're seeing out on the sidewalks, as well as vehicular traffic as well on Temple City Boulevard there.
Now officially in El Monte, according to our Extreme Nav. And, you know, Rick, given that all we know at this point is that there's just one person in there that hasn't even been confirmed, but for all intents and purposes, yeah, driving on the wrong side of the street yet again. And we've seen that multiple times.
Yeah.
Valley Boulevard and Temple City Boulevard, now technically in Rosemead. But, you know, you have to deal with the mental state of this person, then also whether or not they're armed. And, of course, all law enforcement agencies treat it as such, as if they are armed, because they have to.
They have to expect the worst. That's exactly right. When you have an individual who's choosing not to yield to police, not to pull over, and we believe that started in the Carson area with the LA County Sheriff's Department, the law enforcement agency that does the policing there, and then the pursuit was on. And the CHP picked it up eventually once it entered onto the highways, which is typical, but there are other law enforcement agencies that are likely involved now. And again, just erratic in that he's continuing to look outside, like he's looking for someone outside his window, making gestures at times, slowing down. Other times ripping through stop signs, not even looking, and other times stopping at busy intersections and making sure that he doesn't collide with anybody else. But he's just doing loops through this neighborhood right now, essentially from El Monte over to the Rosemead area to the north of the 10 freeway here in the San Gabriel Valley. A stolen vehicle suspect here. And again, this all started, and we'll find out more once this comes to an end. Hopefully a peaceful end where nobody gets injured in the Carson area as a stolen vehicle suspect here.
And as you were mentioning earlier, we haven't seen the CHP cruisers that we were seeing behind him. I know we're relatively tight, but nonetheless, we have not seen those CHP cruisers behind him. So that could very well mean that they have backed off out of concerns for public safety and have gone into tracking mode. And yet they are tracking, of course, by helicopter from the sky.
That's right, and we saw that LA County Sheriff's helicopter a couple of times through our shot from Skyfox there, flying at a lower altitude. That LA County Sheriff's helicopter is likely 400 or 500 feet above ground level there, and we're up a good 1,000 or 1,500 feet above ground level there, and that's usually the case with these pursuits, as we lost our picture there for a second. And again, as you watch this from home, this is a good reminder. If you ever encounter something like this, if it's in your neighborhood or if you're in a vehicle and you see something coming upon you, do whatever you can to pull off to the right, remain safe, and stay out of the way of the officers. Don't try to get involved at all because, as we said, we don't know what we're dealing with here in terms of the suspect. If that suspect is armed, if that suspect will do whatever they can to get out of the way of these officers, they're going to do whatever they can, and that could put you in harm's way and other people as well. So please just yield to the police, pull over slowly to the right, and let them do their jobs. Again, a stolen vehicle suspect starting in the Carson area, LA County Sheriff's and the CHP doing a little U-turn here. So let's see what happens. He didn't do it tight enough there, so now he's got to back it up a little bit. And did a 180 there. And maybe this will give us an idea if see, we're not seeing any CHP units. We would have there, I would think, Marla, being that he did a 180 and there would have been units behind him, and we're not seeing it.
Right.
So I think there's a very good possibility it could be in an air tracking mode at this time. And he's looking behind himself, too, to seeing where the officers are. But now he's into a parking lot again. And maybe he's just using this to cross through. But I have not seen any units on the ground. I have not seen those CHP SUVs, the patrol cars from either the California Highway Patrol or any agency for that matter at this point. So this could very well be
into a parking space, yes, in this credit union parking lot.
Or maybe not.
Yeah, I think he's just backing using that too. Yeah, so he is making a reverse, right? So this is I don't know. Maybe now he's pulling in. Maybe he wanted to do a better job in that stall. He wasn't quite tight enough there. Let's see. Or backing up. Well, he's backing up into the stall. There you go. All right. Okay. There you go. Found some shade here. He's got a little coverage there. He's got the solar. Yeah, he's got the solar paneled coverings, which we're seeing being erected across many parking lots across Southern California as we
Southern California turns more green. And as we widen out,
and
there's the
here's
CHP
Mr.
unit. There we
CHP
go.
officer.
Yeah, now they're going to block him in. Now he's blocked in, and maybe he thought he was done. Arms up. Here we go. And they're going to give him strict commands here. Very strict commands. Keep your arms up. They're going to lay him out onto the pavement there. And it looks like he's doing exactly what he's told, although he's getting a little close, although he does need a little bit of space there to do what he's being told. Hands and arms out, laying flat, making sure that he doesn't have anything in his hands. The officer will come up and cuff him. And then they will obviously check that vehicle just to make sure. It appeared from our vantage point that there was nobody else inside the vehicle. They'll check the trunk, make sure it's clear of anything that could still be harmful. And then they'll flash those 4 fingers up, meaning code 4, all clear. So thankfully, this appears to have come to a peaceful ending. And I think, Marla, he may have thought he got away, right? Because we didn't see that CHP unit.
Yeah, I was thinking when he was looking back, I mean, this is speculation, but it was to see if the CHP unit was still behind him. And when he thought that he was in the clear, he thought, hey, I'll just park here. And
what I'm surprised right now is we're not seeing any backup units. He held up his fingers. There you go. He got the code 4 as we saw. And I'm sure the helicopter, the LA County Sheriff's helicopter, is still circling overhead. Or we have a CHP helicopter, a number of airships as well. But there's no backup, which I'm surprised here. But the suspect did exactly what he was told. He's cuffed. And he will be taken to a station and interviewed. And perhaps we'll find out a little bit more what this was all about. That Lexus allegedly stolen in the Carson area. And he'll also, Marla, be written up for any other vehicular violation that he conducted during that pursuit. The officers have that opportunity as well.
You're right. There aren't any backup officers. And I am noticing that the CHP officer has his face covering on.
Yep, and you just pulled that up. I saw that as well. And for a time, it appeared that the suspect driving there had some sort of covering on as well. But no, there isn't any backup units. And again, it appeared that from our vantage point that the suspect may have thought he was able to evade the officers and backing up into that covered stall there with those solar panels. And fortunately, from what we saw, that nobody innocent out there was injured. We don't know when it first started if something happened. Obviously, we'll find that out. But this is coming to an end here now with the CHP taking the suspect into custody.
All right, Rick. Well, as always, thank you so much. You can get your forecast ready for the Fox 11 News at 6 o'clock with Christine and Alex. We appreciate your perspective on this latest stolen car pursuit that has started in Carson and come to a peaceful end. In fact, the suspect even doing a nice reverse park job here and is being tended to by CHP officers. We'll have a full wrap-up tonight on the Fox 11 News at 5 o'clock. We'll send you off to your regularly scheduled